Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Dreams Guy podcast. My name is John Thomas and I'm the Dreams Guy. And for this episode, we have a question that was sent in from one of our viewers on Instagram. And I'm going to have to spell some of this out, but it's X Essence of Grace 2. So the letter X, Essence of Grace 2. You sent in this question, so I'm going to jump into it. You ask, can a dream be a promise from God? And if so, how do we know? Can it be an absolute? So there's a lot of pieces that can be drawn into this. So the simple answer, can a dream be a promise from God? Yes, it can. It can actually be a promise. There are a number of dreams in Scripture that were promises from God. But the big question really is it absolute? Because there's conditional promises, and then there is no conditions, like this is going to happen no matter what we call the absolute. And in a dream, it could be either one. Here's one of the principles about dreams and dream interpretation that we need to remember is dreams are just one of the ways that we receive revelation. So they fit into the same rules as all the other ways that we get revelation. They're going to have a different weight because different types of revelation, we have different weight that we give them. And that is simply because some types of revelation, they're easier for them to come from us versus coming from the Lord. It's harder for us to recognize which is which. So there's that interaction of the soul with the spirit, and the more possibility of the soul interacting with the spirit, the less weight that we give on something. We need a lot more clarity. We need a lot more confirmation. So that is one of those things. So dreams, you have the revelation itself, the dream itself, and you have to discern whether or not that's from God, whether it's ourself and whether it's from the enemy. If you have had a desire to get a new house and you dream you get a new house, well, was that a promise from God, or was that your own desires coming out in the dream? And it really could be either. You have to actually look at the dream, you have to discern, and it requires a level of self-honesty that can be very difficult sometimes. It's hard to truly be completely honest with ourselves, but we can do it. We can do that. And as we grow in that capacity, we will be able to recognize, wait a second, I've been wanting that. I've been thinking about that. That was me. And there's a feeling that we have in our spirit when the Spirit of God is saying something versus that feeling that we get in our soul because something just echoed something we already wanted. And learning to recognize that difference is key. But let's say we've gone through that process. We've discerned this actually is a promise from God. Like God is saying this. Then there's the question, is it conditional or is it not conditional? Is it an absolute promise from God? And that, again, it takes some discernment. Sometimes we're not 100% sure unless he clarifies that in some other way. There are times when God swears with an oath, and R.T. Kendall will talk about the oath of God. And when God makes an oath, he swears an oath, heaven and earth may fall away, but it will not change. But there are also things where God speaks because he's calling us into something. It's not a promise of this is going to happen no matter what, but this is my best for you. And if these things happen, then this will happen. So the Israelites were promised the land of Canaan. They were promised this land, and they came into the land, but they didn't actually do the work of removing the enemy from the land, even though God told them to do that. If they would have done that, then certain promises that he had made would happen. And later, during the reign of David and Solomon, when that was actually accomplished, some of those promises came to pass, but the first generation didn't, because they didn't fulfill the side of the bargain. Now, in the revelation, God said, you need to do this. This is what I will do. And usually when there's a condition, there is that piece. You do this, I'll do this. And so we need to look, was there something in the revelation that was asking for a response from us, something that we need to do so that that can come to pass? Or was it just saying it's going to come to pass? When it comes to dreams and most other types of revelation, they're often part of an ongoing conversation. So sometimes the conditions come in other revelations. It's like you're having a conversation with somebody and the conversation goes for a few minutes. They may not say everything that you need to know in one sentence in that conversation, but if you listen to the whole conversation, you'll see how it all fits together. That's the principle here. Dreams are just one sentence in an ongoing conversation. We need to fit the dreams into the context of all the other things that God's been speaking into our life and doing into our life. And sometimes that will reveal. The dream will just say, this is going to happen. But in other places, God said, I want you to do this. If you do this, this will happen. Or if you don't do this, this won't happen. We want to look at the whole picture and not ignore the pieces that we don't like and only grab hold of the ones that we do like, but look at the whole picture and get the whole conversation. So, can a dream be a promise from God? Yes. If so, how do we know? It's going to take relationship, prayer, conversation, and growth in discernment. Hebrews 5:14. I quote this verse in a lot because it's so core to understanding spiritual realities. It says that those are mature, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern good from evil. There's just a growth that comes that we learn to grow. And can it be an absolute? It is possible. I will say from experience and through scripture reading that the absolutes are more rare than the conditional. So generally, it's probably conditional, but there are times when it is absolute. That was a great question. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope that was helpful for you. My name is Jon Thomas, and I'm the Dreams Guy. We will see you on our next episode. Until then, keep dreaming.